If you aspire to be a great leader, be present. Some years ago, we worked with a director of a multinational pharma company who'd been receiving poor grades for engagement and leadership effectiveness. Although he tried to change, nothing seemed to work. As his frustration grew, he started tracking the time he spent with each of his direct reports. And every time he received bad feedback, he pulled out his data and explained, "But look how much time I spend with everyone." Things have improved when he began a daily 10-minute mindfulness practice. After a couple of months, people found him more engaging, nicer to work with, and more inspiring. He was surprised and elated by the results. The real surprise: when he pulled out his time tracking spreadsheet, he saw that he was spending, on average, 21 less percent time with his people. The difference: he was actually there. He came to understand that even though he was in the same room with someone, he wasn't always fully present. He let himself become preoccupied with other activities or let his mind drift to other things. And most of all, he'd listen to his inner voice when someone was talking. Because of his lack of presence, people felt unheard and frustrated. Our inner voices are the commentaries we learn to our experiences. They often say things like, "I wish I would stop talking," or "I know what she's going to say next," or "I've heard this all before," or "I wonder if Joe has responded to my text." To truly engage with other human beings and create meaningful connections, we need to silence our inner voices and be fully present. And being more mindful can help. As part of the research for our forthcoming book, The Mind of the Leader, we surveyed more than 1,000 leaders who indicated that a more mindful presence is the optimal strategy to engage their people, create better connections, and improve performance. Other research bears this out. In a survey of 2,000 employees, Bain & Company found that among 33 leadership traits included creating compelling objectives, expressing ideas clearly, and being receptive to input. The ability to be mindfully present, also called centeredness, is the most essential of all. Research also suggests that there is a direct correlation between leaders' mindfulness and the well-being and performance of their people. In other words, the more a leader is present with their people, the better they will perform. Based on our work, here are some tips and strategies that may help in your quest to be more present in your daily life. Be here now. Like all CEOs, Dominic Barton, Global Managing Director of McKinsey & Company, has a daily schedule of back-to-back meetings. All these meetings are important, all include complex information, and most require far-reaching decisions under this condition. Being present to moment, meeting after meeting, is a challenge, but in Barton's experience, present is not a choice, it's a necessity. "When I'm with people during the day, I'm doing my best to be focused. I'm present with them," he told us. "Part of this is because I get energy from being with people, but the other part is because if you're not focused, you're not present. It's discording to other people, they lose motivation. If you're not present, I think you might as well not have the meeting. If you can sometimes be difficult to do, it's always important. The person in front of you does not know what you were dealing with a moment ago, nor should they. It's your responsibility to show up and be fully present to effectively use the limited time you have with each person you meet." Barton believes being mindfully present requires discipline and skills. It takes discipline to stay on task, not letting yourself be affected by nagging challenges or distracted by mental chatter. And it requires skill to have the mental ability to stay laser focused and present. When he's present throughout his day, he finds it deeply gratifying. Being present becomes the cornerstone to getting the most of our every moment with each person. Plan for presence. In his decade as CEO of Campbell Soup Company, Doug Hernan developed rituals of physically and psychological connecting with people at all levels in the company, which he called touch points. Every morning, Conan allocated a good chunk of his time to walking around the plant, greeting people and getting to know them. He would memorize their names and the names of his family members. He would take a genuine interest in their lives. He also handwrote letters of gratitude to recognize their extraordinary efforts. And when people in the company were having tough times, he wrote them personal messages of encouragement. During his tenure, he sent more than 30,000 such letters. To Conan, these behaviors were not just strategy to enhance productivity, they were heartfelt efforts to support his people. Do less, be more. Gabriel Thompson, Senior Vice President at Cisco, has found that when an employee comes to her with a challenge, sometimes it needs a simple solution, but often the problem just needs to be heard. Many situations simply need an ear, not an action. Oftentimes, problems don't need solutions, they need presence and time. She says, as leaders, having the ability to be fully present and listen with an open mind is often the most powerful way to solve issues. As a leader, your role can simply to create a safe space for people to air their frustrations and process their problems. Through mindful presence, you become the container in which they have space to process the issue, without you stepping in to solve, fix, manipulate, or control the situation. Presence in itself can help resolve the issue. This kind of presence not only solves the problem but also creates greater connection and engagement. Embodied presence. Lawrence Schuster, Chief People Officer at Lego Group, explained that when he was very important meetings or presentations, he takes 5 minutes to ground himself in his body. He visualizes coming fully alive in each cell of his body, and he explained to us, when you're not grounded, when you're not connected to your body and surrounding environment, you don't have a strong sense of direction or purpose. You're just floating. The smallest thing can distract you. This grounding technique helps me to clear my mind, recharge my energy, strengthen my instincts, and calm my emotions. After this 5 minutes practice, he walks differently, he talks differently, with more gravitas, with more weight, with more vigor, and as a result, he's able to be more fully present mentally and physically with those around him. It grounds him in the room like a rock. When we have embodied presence, our posture shifts rather than slouching, crossing our arms and literally closing in ourselves. We assume a more balanced, uplift, open, and closed posture. This includes sitting up straight with our arms open. This shift posture can influence how we think, behave, and communicate in the same way that we can catalyze qualities like confidence through assuming a bold posture. We can induce qualities like awareness, focus, inclusion, and compassion through an uplift, dignified posture. The act of sitting up and opening has a positive effect on the chemistry of our brains. It cultivates our capacity for higher functioning thought process. It gives us access to wisdom that comes from heightened awareness, compassion that comes from increased openness, and confidence that comes from strength of vertical alignment. Listo, entonces en este caso podemos hacer una relación del texto con los videos, ya que en este se nos habla básicamente del liderazgo, que pues sería básicamente también como la gerencia, de cómo de cierta manera la gerencia es importante y cómo ser un buen gerente. Ya podemos relacionar esto de los videos junto con lo del texto. También podemos hablar de sus funciones, de cómo es una parte muy importante para la empresa. Y teniendo en cuenta esto, el texto nos está dando como tips para ser un mejor manager con ejemplos de la vida real. Ya en este caso, resumidamente, también me estaría como adelantando a lo que sería la conclusión, es decir, la parte más importante que se nos recalca en la mayor parte del texto. ¿Cuál sería esta? Estar presente en todo momento. Para nuestros empleados o cualquier persona a la que nos dirijamos, siempre hay que separar nuestros problemas, estar en contacto sin pensamientos que nos distraigan de la conversación que estamos teniendo, que es el ejemplo pues, que nos dan en la primera parte del director de una farmacéutica internacional que no tenía una buena reputación. Él trabajaba con sus empleados, intentó muchas cosas al estar pues con ellos, pero no tuvo resultado hasta que de verdad hizo lo que tenía que hacer. ¿Y qué fue esto? Estar ahí con ellos, prestarles atención todo el tiempo. Y entonces ya así de esta manera fue que ellos tuvieron una buena percepción de él, ya que él no solamente estaba ahí, sino que también les estaba poniendo atención. Entonces ya dicho esto, podemos pasar a lo que serían los consejos que nos dan en el texto. El primero sería Be Here Now en inglés, que sería estar aquí ahora. Este nos lo da Dominic Barton, que es el manager de McKinsey & Company, que nos dice que aunque él está en muchas reuniones al día, siempre se debe prestar atención a la otra persona, estar con esa persona y no perder de vista la conversación por pensar en otras cosas. El segundo consejo sería Plan for Presence, plan de presencia, que nos lo da Doug Conant, que en su tiempo fue el CEO de Campbell Soup Company. Él trataba siempre de estar en la planta pues, con sus empleados. Él nos dice que pues, él se aprendía los nombres de la familia, les enviaba cartas, genera una relación de empatía con los empleados más que de trabajo, lo cual hace pues también que aumente la productividad. El tercer consejo sería Do less, be more, que sería haz menos, sé más. Ese nos lo da Gabriel Thompson, vicepresidenta de Cisco, que dice que se debe escuchar a los empleados a veces, que a veces es mejor, que es de mejor ayuda escuchar que actuar. Ella lo que hacía era escuchar a los empleados, ya que muchas veces ellos iban con problemas a ella y muchas veces ni siquiera ella se tenía que meter como en la vida de ellos ni darles como consejos, sino simplemente escucharlos y ya se sentían mejor. El cuarto consejo y el último sería embodied presence, que sería presencia encarnada. Este nos lo da Lawrence Schuster, jefe de personal en Lego Group. Nos enseña una técnica de despejar la mente por 5 minutos, lo cual haría una diferencia. Antes de las reuniones, antes de empezar el trabajo, él nos dice que él se sale de su mente, deja todos los pensamientos que tenga atrás y que simplemente él se concentra en nada, pues deja todos los pensamientos y una vez hecho esto por 5 minutos ya tiene una mejor postura, una mejor energía para ir a las reuniones, es más fácil escuchar a las personas así. Entonces todos esos consejos nos sirven mucho para lo que sería la administración o la gerencia, ya que cada uno de estos, aparte de que vamos a ser unos mejores gerentes para tener una mejor reputación pues en la empresa, con las personas, nos van a tener más aprecio, todos estos tips aumentan mucho más la productividad en el negocio.